What's up, everybody? So somebody asked me for a England guide where you get the personal union over France, but that you can also go down the British path. And while this pretty much follows everybody else's guides, I figured if somebody explicitly asked me for it, I can go ahead and do it. Because I don't like repeating what other people say. But either way, let's go ahead and get this started. First things first, we have our estates and privileges. As you can see, I did not grant any of the monarch point boosts. The reason why is you want to revoke English valianage as soon as you can because it's reducing your economy. And you cannot do so until you have 40% crown land. So, obviously, don't do that until... Don't grant those privileges until you have this revoked. Now, sometimes you can revoke it on day one by having a parliament debate that gives you crown land. I didn't start with one, so I'm going to not select a debate, because if you not select one for that month, it should re-roll more of them for the next month. So check again in a month, and if you get it, great, you can revoke that privilege and then grant out those estate privileges, granting you monarch power. Otherwise, go ahead and grant level 1 advisors. You have the economy to actually afford to do so. But now that that's set up, let's just talk quickly about what else I'm doing here. I granted expand the fortifications, even though I'm going to be deleting most of my forts, simply because it gives you more loyalty than influence, which helps you revoke things. So be sure you grant that. Beyond that, I'm going to be setting up stuff in the south, just because you still should. So let's go ahead and talk about that. You see, while it is advantageous for you to have this land in France because it gives you a place to fight from, there is a big problem with it. Namely, France is likely to occupy it, get war score from it, and then on top of that, drive up your war exhaustion, which makes it harder for you to fight. So having this land, while useful, isn't that great. So instead, what I just did, and unfortunately the recording failed, so I'm going to have to do this again, I just exploited all the tax dev of all the land on the continent. I then unstated Normandy and concentrated development, and that means I'm going to go in here just like I do every other time. I'm going to release Normandy, and I'm going to release Gascony. I'm going to scootage both of them, so they will not be involved in my wars. This way, I get increased taxes from them, and I also get the force limit bonus from them without having to worry about the land actually becoming occupied. And I'm going to hand over these other 3 provinces to Normandy because they can sit there and make sure nothing happens. Now I have the ability to quickly deploy my troops into France whenever I'm ready to actually fight France without running the risk of that land becoming occupied and driving up my war exhaustion. Now let's go ahead and find people that'll help me fight France. It's pretty much going to be whoever ends up rivaling France. That's Aragon. That's who it is this time. Looks like they hate both Burgundy and they hate Castile, which is just lovely. But Burgundy hates me, so I'm not picking them up anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up Castile and I'm going to roll marry Aragon. And I will rival France, because this should give me the option of picking up both of these guys. And the moment you have them as allies, start currying favors. I'm also going to pick up Austria, because if Austria will join in, great. And those are my 3 allies. I'm going to come in here now and grant strong duchies, because I can. I have 2 vassals now. And I'm simply going to wait. I am at my limit here of people that I can ally. So I'm going to, as soon as I can, ally Aragon, start currying favors with all 3 of these guys. And I will see you guys back once it's time to actually declare. Keep your troops on English soil. The reason why is while France starts off guaranteeing Scotland, they can ally them. And if your troops are in France and not paying attention to Scotland, they can run hog wild through your lands. But there's also other things you have to deal with in England before you can actually go and deal with France. So now that that's handled, I'll see you guys soon. And welcome back. So I have the first of these events. Because you gave up all your stuff on the continent, you end up getting this event. And basically all it does is you can either lose a stability, or you give up your 1 core here as England, and you get a free stability. Obviously, I'm going to take the free stability. It also improves the opinion of France a little bit, just a little bit, that allows you to not quite freak out as much if you do enforce the personal union on them. So I definitely recommend taking that. I also ended up taking the Lollard Heresy. Take the Unrest. While it is kind of annoying to have to deal with rebels, it is going to cost you opinion with people, namely France, and it's going to make them not like you as much, which if you enforce a personal union, you're going to have to keep them happy. So I'm still not getting the extra crown land parliament issue, so I'm still fishing for that, and I'm still slowly getting favors with these three guys. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that. I'll see you guys soon. Welcome back, everybody. So the surrender of Maine has finally fired. Now, this event can kind of fire at any time since the beginning of the game. It took a while for me, so I was able to get plenty of favors with a number of people, but all you have to do is be able to call them in within 3 years of the war starting. So go and look, in this case, Austria. I have 5.77 favors. I'm getting 0.18 per month, so I just need to calculate out if I can call him in within 3 years. As long as I can do that, I can call them in against France. So just do the math and see if you're going to be able to. If you're not sure if you're going to be able to, see if you can call them in with promise of land before you declare, because that will tell you if they will join. In this game, I can only get Aragon, which obviously I don't want. I want to have more people on my side, so I will wait for Castile, and I should absolutely be able to get him to come in within 3 years. Now, during that time, when I don't have anyone else involved, I need to make sure the French Navy is suppressed, and the Scottish have allied the French, so I do need to go and deal with them and punch them for a bit. So I'm going to go do that. I also am about to have the War of the Roses fire. If you are going to take France in this war, you must crush the War of the Roses. You must win it and end it before you get France, because they will not break you during the war, and the moment the war is over, they can break you and break the personal union, making the whole thing pointless. Plus, you also want to end it ahead of time, so you get this right here, because that will give you 10% less aggressive expansion when you enforce on France. So I'm going to hold this for 2 months, let this fire as roughly as I can, and deal with that before I go and turn on Scotland. Now, I did keep the one fort here in Northumberland, but as you can see, I did delete my other forts up here because there's no point to keeping them, and by doing so, you should be just barely losing money. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and deal with this. I will see you guys in just a bit. Oh, and I also picked up Savoy as an ally, and the reason why is because they will usually be willing to come in so long as you make them reduce their opinion of France. They may need more favors to come in after that, but you can promise them land, and then France is running down here and wasting troops in the mountain attrition as opposed to fighting you. So I might do that just to end up causing a bit more chaos when I call in other people. So for now, I'll see you later. And welcome back, everybody. So France is about to become English territory, but before I end up piecing that out and continuing further, I do want to cover a couple of topics. First things first, Castile refused to join the war, period. France had been improving relations with them, trying to get them as an ally over my own rivalry, and obviously that took a while, but they were able to prevent them from being willing to join even with favors due to opinion. If that happens, Castile's not joining. It's just not going to happen because they really have no interest in any French land. They'll probably have more interest in your land than the French land. So what I ended up doing is I called in Aragon, I called in Savoy with a promise of land, I eventually was able to call in Austria, and Portugal also joined. Because they naturally have a high favor growth, if the war starts relatively late, about 1447, 1448, maybe 46, late in the year, you should be able to call in Portugal before that 3-year timer hits, allowing you to bring in their 16,000 some odd troops to come in and help. They're not the biggest thing, but every little bit helps. Now, in this game, the Iberian Wedding also fired early, so it pulled Aragon out of that war, but by then, it was too late for France. Now, before you end up doing it, make sure you click this mission here. I haven't done anything else that required aggressive expansion, but this will make it cheaper for you to do this, where you're not going to be having that big of a coalition. If you're worried about a coalition, move your merchants to both the English Channel and to the Rhineland, and have them set to improve relations here. It'll help burn off any aggressive expansion that you do get, which should keep the coalition from actually being a problem. In this case, I'm really not afraid of them, And I do have to hand one province over to Savoy since I promised them land, and I'd recommend you do the same, simply because you can get it back with favors, and they'll just hand it back to France. So there's no real cost there. So I'm going to go ahead and piece this out once I have my diplomats back. Oh, before I do, of course, if you're ever going to take a personal union, see if they hate somebody and scornfully insult them first. It's just an improvement in the opinion, and if you can get any amount of opinion before you peace out, you're generally going to be better off. Now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and piece this out. I did get enough money to help pay off the loans I took in that war. Yes, they are going to be absolutely disloyal, and I'm going to be turning on support loyalists. I'm going to drop my maintenance. I'm not going to be fighting anybody. I didn't even have to go to the continent during all that. But right now, my focus is improving relations with France to get them above 0 and getting these two guys integrated. During that time, I can get the Ray's army done and go and take out Ireland, and then eventually Scotland will end up losing their truce, and they now no longer have a France to protect them. But I would recommend not clicking Raise the Army until when you're ready to go after Scotland, because that is really going to be your time limit on this, and obviously I do need to get my manpower back, replenish my troops, and actually get back on a decent footing. So I'm going to be spending time with these guys for now, but I'll see you guys in a bit. And welcome back, everybody. So I don't know why the AI does this. Every single one of my test games, and I've done about 20 of these, Burgundy always declares on Bourbonnais. I don't know why. I think they think only France is going to get involved, and since France has been beaten down this bad, they should be able to win this. And they end up in this fight. Every single time. I don't understand why. But either way, I'm about to punch Burgundy really, really hard. So I will take care of this, and then I'm going to be going after Scotland, because, well, their truce is getting closer and closer to expiring. That's kind of why I didn't want to go after Ireland, because I didn't know what Burgundy was going to do, and sometimes Castile and other people in this area will just break their alliance, which means you have to go now deal with Burgundy. In this case, though, they didn't. They were willing to actually stay allies, and now I can take on Burgundy. So I will see you guys in a bit. And welcome back, everybody. So Scotland is now a vassal, and all of Ireland is owned, and yes, that does kind of cause a coalition. But either way, now that that is done, we can proceed partially down our mission tree. In order to get the subjugate Scotland, you have to have these two islands as well, and you can't actually get them when you subjugate Scotland. But I do have Conquer Ireland. Now, clicking this gives you the decision to unlock a thing here that'll unlock a parliamentary debate. The thing is it will end this. So if you are doing something that requires you to keep it, like in this case, I have diplomatic annexation cost, and I'm integrating a vassal, I don't want to click this right now. In addition, it starts a new debate at that moment. So if you are within a year or two of getting a different debate, hold off, because you can wait for the debate to happen, get a temporary bonus like plus some stability or manpower or just some money or something along those lines, and then do another debate, giving you the benefits of the first one, though it ends early, and then immediately doing the Crown Act of Ireland. So make sure you just time it correctly. Now, at this point, because I've kind of made a lot of people mad, I'm going to go ahead and just cool off for a bit and chill while I allow them to get non-annoyed. I think I'll put it that way. And either way, I do have myself kind of getting ready to go exploring, because, again, going Great Britain, you kind of should be. But I will see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So I wanted to briefly talk about the decision that you get out of the Crown Act of Ireland now that I actually am able to do the Parliament thing. So here's the problem. If you take the personal union, you get more benefit out of it long term. The thing is, you won't be able to do anything with Ireland for about 50 years, which, again, who cares? The thing is that you actually do when you go down the Great Britain tree. You actually have to develop the British identity, which requires you to end up owning the Irish provinces as well as the Scottish. And while you can get the Scottish fairly easily once you do the Acts of Union, that means you're going to have to integrate the Ireland personal union eventually anyway. So, personally, I'm going to go ahead and just keep them in my country. I've done both. It really doesn't matter. But I just want to point out that you won't be able to complete that mission until you've integrated Ireland. And while you're not going to be completing it until Tech 10 anyway because of Scotland, it's going to be taking a bit longer than that in order to integrate Ireland. So if you really care, then make sure you just keep them. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and continue because, again, I'm burning off this aggressive expansion over here. And Burgundy did have their inheritance. They went to the Palatinate. So I am now going to try and go and get France's cores all around this area. So I'm going to be doing that, and that's probably going to involve me having to fight the Emperor. And the good news is that for whatever reason, Austria, every time I play England, Austria loses the emperorship. I don't know why. You're probably not going to have that kind of good luck, but you're going to have to fight Austria. Usually you can pick up an ally such as Poland or Hungary or somebody that hates Austria over here that'll help punch them for you, and then you can just get Burgundian, the French cores out of Burgundy, and then you can vassalize what's left and take back all the Burgundian cores up here because they did own this land, however briefly. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that once I actually can, and that means this coalition goes away. And I will talk to you guys once that's done. See you then. What's up, everybody? So for this week, I'm giving away a CD key for Midnight Suns, as well as a Doctor Strange Defender skin. If you want a copy of this game, leave a comment below that includes the word Midnight somewhere in your reply, and I'll go through at the end of the week and find all of the comments that includes the word Midnight, pick one completely at random, and I'll reply to that comment with the CD key for both the game and the skin in my reply. Now, obviously, anybody can see my comments and replies, so be sure you turn on your notifications, because if somebody else sees it first and they put it into their Steam account, it's their game, their skin, period. So make sure you turn on your notifications. But with that being said, let's get back to the video. And welcome back, everybody. So I overwrote my save game, unfortunately, so I can't show you that Iron Man game, but this is a non-Iron Man that I just brought up so I can show you this. So Anglicanism is built more financially sound, whereas Protestantism will have a bit more military backing. So you'll have morale and discipline, and they use improved relations to keep coalitions coming after them. Anglican, you'll have the tech advantage, and you'll have a lot of extra monarch points lying around. But you also have this Reformation diplomacy that I was talking about, which will make it so everybody in the Christian group, other than the Catholics, will constantly get better opinion with you. And this can largely keep all of Germany, once they become a part of the Reformation, out of the coalitions. Meaning you can just finish consolidating all of Iberia, all of Italy, and Germany won't care. And then by the time you turn on them, sure, you'll eventually cause a coalition, but you'll be halfway through Germany before they realize, oh, you might be a danger. So this is an advantage to the Anglican, but also you do have the increasing your colonization with this one right here. It's 15 years where you get faster colonies, as well as just throwing extra population into one of them. And I clicked this a lot in a couple of my runs. So having Anglican is not bad. I just preferred Protestant in that game. So go ahead and pick which one you want to go with. There really isn't a downside to any of them, but if you do flip Anglican early, make sure you're improving relations with your personal unions, because you will be causing quite a bit of opinion malice, especially with France, because you will have your religion different to theirs, and you'll be bordering each other, so that's minus 40 opinion, and then if you are going to evangelize Anglicanism, that also causes minus 50 opinion with them, so it's a 90 swing. So you need to be aware of that, just so you don't end up causing harm. But if you're balancing that with the other event where you basically choose between either making the Protestants happy or the Catholics happy, you can choose the Catholics still with Anglican and make it so it's not quite as bad. But with that being said, that is how you do Great Britain as England. I might make another Anglican guide just because I do it a little bit differently with them, but we'll see. But with all that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful week. And welcome back, everybody. So as you can see, I've retaken all of Burgundy's cores, allowing me to start getting them off the map. And that's going to take some time. Usually you're going to be able to remove them, but the Reformation will have started. So make sure you have enough admin points banked up to move your capital to prevent the Dutch revolt. Otherwise, you're going to have to just fight rebels, which isn't terrible, but it does tie up your army. Now, other than that, it's time to pivot and look to the south. Specifically, I'm looking into Brittany. As you can see, I have Provence here, and I'm also going to be looking into Italy and down here in southern France. Now, Provence will usually get wiped out. So you're going to have to release them somewhere, and it's going to be down in Occitan provinces. However, when the Burgundian inheritance fires, if they end up getting spit out all the HRE territory, they get spit out up here too, allowing you to grab Provence here and either use that as a way to reconquer cores, or what I did is I sold them Anjou, because it was one of their cores, and then I gave this stuff back to France, and then vassalized them over here. Diplomatically. I didn't force vassalize them. I just diplomatically vassalized them because they were fine with it at that point, allowing me now to take over. Now, this will give you the 3 provinces here, but far more importantly, usually by this time, Naples is taken over by Castile. But on top of that, because Provence is now a subject, all I have to do is get them up to 100 development, and I'm able to use this mission, and it gives me cores on everything that is Naples, allowing me to take all of this down here for really, really, really cheap. And that's exactly what I want to do. Now, I will say that the rest of the Provencal mission tree, it really doesn't really help. It's just a bunch of permanent claims. But when I attack Castile, because they have a personal union, I can take land off of Aragon, and I'll have even more cores to reconquer in the next war, allowing me to continue on and on and on, and then eating my way through Iberia. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and that involves me breaking my Castilian alliance. They have to eventually become an enemy. Either it's going to be in the New World, after they've colonized everything and we're fighting for land over here, or I'm going to do it now when they're relatively weak, and I'd rather just do it now. So that is what I recommend you do. Get Provence so you can get cores on all of Naples, because again, all it takes is 100 development. Feed them Brittany, and they pretty much have that. I just got to get their cores over here, and I can get that either one of 2 ways. Either I can ally the Pope and then use favors and get them back for free, or I can just attack the Pope. It really doesn't matter which one, because he doesn't really have any strong allies that I'm afraid of. So I'm going to consider what my options are with that, and I'm going to bring you guys back at a later time. But I am still colonizing the New World, starting up here in Canada, and I'll work my way down south. Even though it looks like Portugal is really lagging behind when it comes to the Caribbean for some reason, I might just throw some stuff down here just so I can try and grab Cuba, or at least, Jamaica. Either way, I'll see you guys in a little bit. And welcome back, everybody. So it's been quite a while since I talked to you guys last. The reason why is because I was waiting for the Reformation to start, and it started 30 years late. In fact, it's just started. So now that it's moving, once the Reformation starts, that's when the Dutch revolt happens. So make sure you have the ability to move your capital over. But beyond that, after I got done taking out Naples, Savoy broke their alliance with me. I guess they thought they could take me on. So I ended up coming in here, releasing Geneva, Genoa, and Sardinia, because they took that province in a separate war. And now I'm just walking around vassalizing these guys, because these two I can always just integrate and not have to worry about any aggressive expansion. Sardinia, they have cores that I'm about to go in on with Aragon. I did take Catalonia and Sicily in those wars, so I'll just reconquer their cores as well, and I'll probably end up taking one of Valencia's cores down here to remove almost all of Aragon from the map after the next war. And then I can just start eating Castile normally. During the last war, I did take out Portugal's colonies over here, and I recommend you do the same, because Portugal will keep re-allying Castile no matter what you do. So you can either use a bunch of favors that you're not really using for anything else to break that alliance so you don't have to deal with the extra 20,000, or you can let Portugal keep colonizing stuff for you, because you should be overwhelming these two massively, allowing you to just strip all of their colonies every war while you take other stuff. So if he wants to come over here and colonize the Caribbean for me, I'm fine with that. I'm also finishing up here with Canada
and I do have the Dutch the Danes every so often throwing a colony over here, so I have to attack them. I did take these 3 provinces from them a while ago to give myself a little bit easier colonial range after they integrated Norway. I then released Norway, so the moment my truce is up with them, I'll reconquer Norway from them, giving me control over the North Sea, the English Channel. Eventually, I'll have control over these 2 end nodes as well, and I'll be able to get all of Western Europe, so I'll have every bit of money coming in from the New World coming into only my coffers. So I'll see you guys in a little bit, because I do actually have to get ready for this next fight and fight it, and I'll talk to you guys more then. See you then. Welcome back, everybody. So I just briefly wanted to touch on this event. While you're in the Age of Reformation as England or Britain, you will have these events pop up every time you get a new ruler. You'll even have events popping up like Bloody Mary or Elizabeth that will change your ruler out, and you get these events too. And as you can see here, it'll give you the option of making Catholics mad or making people that are Reformed mad. Now, whatever you're choosing to do, just look and see what you're trying to deal with. Like, obviously, I want to keep France happy, so I'm going to go with this option. I mean, yes, I'm Catholic now, but I would still go with that option even if I was Anglican at the moment, just because I would rather avoid coalitions, and that will definitely help do so. Though, obviously, the Protestants are going to really, really not like me if I keep doing that. So, just keep an eye on it and balance it, and you should be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on Castile, and I'll be right back. And welcome back, everybody. So there's only a few more things I really wanted to cover in this guide before I wrap it all up, and Colonial Venture is definitely one of the things I kind of need to cover. Now, as you can see, it is an event. Now, in order to get these events, you have to finish the Discover the Americas mission. So you have to get down here as quickly as possible, found the Royal Navy, and discover the Americas. All this requires is that you discover a province. You don't have to colonize it in Eastern America and in the Caribbean, which is fairly simple once you have the tech to do it. This gives you a parliament issue that you can have to go through the decisions, it activates it, you pass it, and then it'll give you these events whenever you finish a colony, anywhere. In the New World, in the Old World, this one is in Tswana, which is right here. Now, all this is it gives you the option of basically picking what trade good you're going to get. Now, whatever it ends up spawning, as you can see, Tswana here spawn livestock. It's free. You always get that one for free. But anything else it could have spawned, you can pay money and admin points to change it over to that. And that cost goes up every time you do it. So if I want more gold, I can spend 1,100 ducats here and 375 admin points and just get gold. And that's pretty important to know. I'll just go ahead and take salt there. Because as you can see, there's a lot of things that can be put here. I really still like gold, but I might already have plenty of gold. I already might have plenty of income, which I kind of do, to the point where I don't need more gold provinces. I don't need more inflation. Instead, I might need tropical wood to get the trading in bonus. And it just lets me have that without having to constantly re-roll things. So before you really start colonizing anything, get this mission done, because it might be very, very useful for you to have as a good economy booster with those gold provinces. Because nobody really colonizes right here to start, and once you have it active, you can just keep pumping gold mines into that area, and then as long as they can make it through the Caribbean, you have plenty of money to do anything you're going to need to do. As you can see, I pretty much control everything. Austria is a personal union of mine. I'm integrating France. I own most of Italy. Spain is really not doing too well, though they became the emperor somehow. But either way, you will be able to fund pretty much whatever you feel like doing just by using Colonial Venture, because you don't need to worry about what it happens to roll. So you're able to heavily focus on the trade goods that you particularly want in that area and not have to take wheat or fish or naval supplies if you don't want to. The rest of what I need to talk about is basically about the choice of religion, because as England, you do have some reason to change out of Catholic. Now, you can stay Catholic if you want to become the emperor. There's nothing wrong with going that strategy, because you're trying to take over Western Europe, which includes all of this and potentially Italy, because you can do it fairly easily. But going into the empire, it's kind of not necessary. But if you become the emperor, you might as well, because you could generally trend in that direction and then just take everything over. Or destroy it. Now, in this game, I did go Protestant. And that does have some advantages because it lets you ignore the Treaty of Tordesillas, and if it went long enough, you will have your own regions that will be considered yours that people will stay out of until you flip. Anglican, though, does have a couple of advantages that I did want to briefly talk about. Specifically, you have the ability to get free stability just like you do with Catholicism, where Protestant you don't. But also you have the same ability as the English do in the Age of Reformation, in the fact that you can use your points from your faith to boost the opinion of every Protestant, Hussite, etc. religion. So no Catholics and no other faith groups, but everyone but Catholics in the Christian group get a bonus of opinion with you. I think it's 50 opinion. I'm actually going to load up my other save. Give me 1 second.